Welcome to chapter 18 of the book of Joshua. We're going through all of the tribes, 7 left to receive their lot, their land. And it begins, and an assembly was held. All the congregation of the sons of Israel in Shiloh. This is interesting because we have 2 words here, an assembly and congregation. The assembly can be of many types of things. Could be animals, could be human, could be Jews, could be Philistines, could be anybody that's an assembly of whatever. A congregation, a synagogue, is generally tied in to the Jews. You wouldn't call a synagogue anything other than the Jews. The ecclesia, this is a verb, an assembly was held. But the verb for an assembly, ecclesia, which we see this epsilon kappa kappa lambda eta sigma iota alpha, is number 1577. And the assembly in the New Testament with Jesus only appears 3 times as far as with Jesus. It appears many other places. The word ecclesia, 1577, is almost, I'd say 50-40, 50% in the New Testament, maybe 40% in the Old, or even maybe 50-50. You can look in the lexical concordance of the Apostolic Bible and you'll see all the different locations. The assembly was first mentioned in the New Testament by Jesus, and in Matthew 16:18 he says, "And I say unto you that you are Peter, and upon this the rock I will build my assembly, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." Peter, Petros, number 4074, is a piece of rock, like a pebble. And he says, you are a pebble, and upon this, Petra, which is a large rock, I will build my assembly. Now, exactly what is he referring to here? Now, we know that the large rock is Petra is a large rock because it says, "And the kings of the earth," and this is Revelation 6:16, "and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the commanders of thousands, and the rich, and the mighty ones, and every bondman and every free man, hid themselves in the caves and in the rocks of the mountain," the rocks of the mountain. And so that's not a pebble. "And they say to the mountains and to the rocks, fall upon us." Well, pebble doesn't fit. So this is what it is. "Fall upon us and hide us from the face of the one sitting upon the throne and from the anger of the Lamb." Now, what is Jesus talking about where he says, upon this, the rock, it's not a rock, but the rock, I will build my assembly. Some people think it is the confession of Peter of he being the Messiah, which it could very well be. But it could also be, I believe, in Revelation 21, where we have the New Jerusalem coming down out of the heaven, and it's made out of precious stones. Could that be what it's talking about, or could it be something else that I haven't thought of, or so forth? And then it mentions, Jesus mentions again, but if he should disregard them, that is a man who has done something wrong, and 2 people go witness against him, and he disregards the 2, then it says, speak to the assembly. He doesn't use synagogue, which is interesting. So this is the first place, or the second place, where he mentions an assembly. "And if also the assembly he should disregard, let him be to you as if the ethnics and the tax collector. And that's Matthew 18:17. So the assembly. Now, there's no place here where it's talking about a house. A church is what was translated from the word ecclesia by the King James and other translators into English. A church, and I think it came from Kirche, which was German. But that's not the case at all. It's an assembly. Forget the whole idea of a building and people being in the building. Yes, people can assemble in a building, but the early church assembled they also assembled in homes of people, because it mentions that in the book of Acts in Paul's writings. And Paul talked to the assembly in a theater-type building next to the synagogue. I think it was in Ephesus. So wherever the assembly is teaching God's word, then God is there. And assemblies also, to me, can be something like, could it be on the internet? Basically, today we are having more and more people assemble via the internet and seeing things that are going out, even voting, mainly governmental agencies or of sorts, city and so forth, state. Also, schools can have an assembly and classes online, and you do things through an assembly of many people putting things together. And of course, churches can be online. TV for a long time had the assemblies on different programs on the church. Now, I was confronted by a man, a pastor of a church close to where I live, in that I wasn't going to an assembly and a church there, and he didn't think that I'd mentioned what I was doing on the internet, and he didn't think that was valid. Well, I think it is valid. I think I mentioned to him, if I didn't, I should have, that if you had told somebody about Jesus on a telephone in the 1930s, would you say that that person's understanding of the Bible and God via a telephone was invalid because it wasn't in person? No. And I know of people that became born from above by seeing things on the assemblies on TV, and they became believers. Now, has that become invalid? Now, no. Now, the people that are watching the videos that I put together, I like to think of us as an assembly, although I don't know who you are. I know a few people write me and tell me, and I really appreciate it. And anytime you want to call me or write, you're more than welcome to. And I believe that an assembly can be more than just in one building. That's my opinion. But even with that, we're told that in the early chapters of the book of Revelation, how the 7 assemblies mentions them all by name, and how basically 5 of them were cast away from God. Only 2 were acceptable to God. So even then, the assemblies can be iffy in no matter which way. And it says in Revelations 22:16, to sum it up, I, Jesus, sent forth my angel to testify to you these things unto the assemblies. Now, I believe whoever's reading this in the assemblies, if you're in your home, I know of one assembly up in the state of Washington who uses the Apostolic Bible. The synagogue is mentioned many, many places in both the Old and the New. Jesus went to the synagogue. Paul went to the synagogue, but it always had something to do with the Jews. It wasn't mentioned. The assembly wouldn't become a synagogue. A synagogue could eventually, I suppose, if it didn't want to become Jewish and non-Jews took over, it could become an assembly, though. But it continues. Now it says in Shiloh, this assembly was held. Now Shiloh, where is Shiloh? Here it is, right over here in Ephraim, and not too far from Jericho. Bethlehem, Jerusalem is here. Shiloh. And they pitched there the skenin. A scene comes from that. Skenin. A scene is where the early plays were put on in tents. And they called it a tent, a skene, a scene of the martyriou. And the land was seized by them, so they took that land. And the sons of Israel were left, for 7 tribes did not inherit their inheritance. So 7 tribes didn't receive. Manasseh did, Gad, Reuben, Judah, Ephraim, and Manasseh. Now we'll go through and find out about these other ones. And Joshua said to the sons of Israel, "For how long shall you faint to enter to inherit the land which the Lord our God, which the Lord God of our fathers gave to us?" So he, complains against what they were doing. They're not taking the land to inherit it. And I was thinking about, well, what would he do if he came today and saw Israel today? Would he think everything was hunky-dory, was good? Or would he look and say, well, you didn't take the Gaza Strip. That's hasn't been taken. You haven't taken the West Bank, which basically includes Bethlehem. It's over here. It goes down somewhere in here. The West Bank is on the Dead Sea. And the Temple Mount in Jerusalem wasn't taken. And then the land goes all the way up to Hamath, Orontes River, and up north to Hamath, off of the map here. But he's not here today, but it's interesting. And so he continues and he says, "Give from out of yours 3 men from out of a tribe, and send them. And rising up, let them go through the land." So I would imagine there would be 21 men because of 7 tribes. "And let them diagram it, a map, before me, as it shall behoove to divide it." And they came to him. And he divided to them 7 portions. And Judah shall stand as a border from the south to them, and the sons of Joseph shall stand upon their border from the north. And that was Manasseh here and up here. "And you portion the land into 7 portions, and bring the diagram to me here, and I shall bring forth to you a lot," casting a lot, "here before the Lord your God. For there is not a portion to the sons of Levi among you." So that would make the 7, and then the 5 here would make them 12, excluding Levi, which didn't have land. "For the priesthood of the Lord is his portion." That's in place of the land. They had cities, though. "And Gad and Reuben and the half-tribe of Manasseh received its inheritance on the other side of the Jordan eastward." There it is, Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh, also over there, "which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave to them. And rising up, the men went. And Sus gave charge to the men going to explore the land, saying, Well, spread and go through the land and explore it, and come to me, and I will bring forth to you here a lot before the Lord in Shiloh." So go on through there and draw out a map and bring it to me. "And the men went and spread in the land, and explored it, and beheld it, and wrote about it according to her cities, 7 portions in a scroll. And they brought it to Esun in the camp in Shiloh, where the tabernacle was. And Jesus cast for them a lot in Shiloh, Silo, before the Lord, Silo in Greek. And Jesus portioned there the land to the sons of Israel, according to their distributions. And there came forth the lot of the tribe of the sons of Benjamin first, proton first, according to their demus, demography, peoples. And the borders, we have this in the 3 or 4 chapters back, it explains this word, and the Kleru, lot, between the sons of Judah and between the sons of Joseph. So there's Benjamin here. And Ephraim is a son of Joseph. And their borders were from the north of the Jordan. Their borders shall ascend by the back of Jericho, and here's Jericho, unto the north, and shall ascend unto the mountain and to the west, over here. And its outer reaches will be Madvaritis, Vaithaun. And the borders will go forth from there to Luz from the south. This is Bethel. No, I'm not sure if I have Bethel on here or not. No, there it is. But that doesn't look south in Benjamin. Well, and the borders will go down from Ataroth Edar unto the mountainous area which is towards the south of Beth Horon, the part below. Now, this map here isn't the same as the last map. Ephraim went all the way to the ocean. So these maps are all iffy. Sorry. And the borders shall go through and go around unto the part that looks upon the west from the sea from the south. Could be south, sea, or west. From the mountain unto the face of Beth Horon south. And its outer reaches will be unto Kiriath Baal. This is Kiriatharim, a city of the sons of Judah. This is the part towards the west. There's Beth Horon. And the part towards the south of the part of Kiriath Baal even shall go through unto Gasin, and it shall go forth unto the spring of the water of Naphtho. And the border shall go down unto the part of the mountain which is at the face of the grove of the son of Hinnom, and that's by Jerusalem. And there it is there. Which is from out of the part of Emek Raphaim from the north. And it shall go down unto Gehenna, or Gionam, which is unto the back of Jebus, which is Jerusalem, from the south, and shall go down unto the spring of Rogel. So it's over here where the spring is. And it shall pass. So basically it sounds like almost like Jerusalem is in Benjamin. And it shall go through unto the spring of Beth Shemesh, pass out unto the north, and shall go into the spring of Beth Shemesh, Vaith Samis. And it shall go by unto Galiloth, which is before the ascent of Adomim, and shall go down unto the stone, the Lethon of Vohan, of the sons of Reuben. Now, Lethos is even bigger than a Petra, and shall go down by the back of Vaitharavah from the north, Vorah, Borealis, Aurora Borealis, northern lights, and shall go down unto Arava, the wilderness, and shall go by unto the borders, unto the back of the sea from the north. So, some of the back of the sea. And the outer reaches of the borders shall be upon the ridge of the sea of salts, from the north, that's there, the Benjamin, to the part of the Jordan from the south. These are the borders of the south. And the Jordan shall define the bounds of it from the part from the east, and that's the east, Jordan. This is the inheritance of the sons of Benjamin. Its borders round about, according to their demus, peoples. And the cities of the tribes of the sons of Benjamin were according to their peoples: Jericho, and Vithagla, and Mekasis, and Vithavara, and Samarim, and Vithel, and Avim, and Afra, and Aphara, and Kapharamona, and Afni, and Gava'ah. 12 cities, duodeca, 2. This is short do. Duo is 2, and deca 10 cities, and their towns: Gabaon, and Ramah, and Viroth, and Masipha, and Kephirah, and Massa, and Reken, and Erphil, and Therala, and Evus, this is Jerusalem, and Gavaoth, and city Iarim, 13 cities, Decatrice, 10 tree. Should have highlighted that. Or you can add that green to your English derivatives book. And their towns. This is the inheritance of the sons of Benjamin according to their demography, peoples. Chapter 19, our next video. Hope you'll join us and find out what land Simeon receives. Till then, God bless.